How many of you said you wanted your child to do exactly what it is you're doing now? How many of you said you wanted your child to go into welding, plumbing, HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air? Do I have any persons that said that? Do I have any parents that said you wanted your child to at least attend a 2-year college and be successful at that? At least, at the minimum. How many of you said you wanted your child to attend a 4-year college or university? I want to see the hands of what you want. Amen. Because let me tell you something, our actions must mirror what we want. Our actions must mirror what? What we want. And when our actions don't mirror what we want, what do we typically get? Do we get what we just said we want for our children? And before I go further, who's seen me before today? You've seen Ms. Rush before today. So those who've seen me before today, you pretty much get where Ms. Rush comes from in terms of what she thinks about in terms of education. So if you've not seen me before today, I hope you have a good impression when you leave me. Because if I'm passionate about nothing else, I'm passionate about our children learning. And I'm also passionate in another direction when I am not seeing them learning at the levels at which I know they can. So foremost, I'm just Angela Rush, a parent, a taxpayer of Williamsburg County, who want my personal children to do well, who want my family members' children to do well, who then want my community children to do well, the county's children to do well. And for 8 years, one of my jobs, the job that I was paid to do, was to go around and watch and see and give input to teachers on how to teach better, how to interact with children better. And for 8 years, I did my job. But I didn't just do my job, I had passion. Because it has been my passion, everyone. When schools, families, and community groups work together to support learning, children tend to do better in school, stay in school longer, and like school more. That's why I'm asking you. I needed to hear that data from you. I wanted to know what you wanted from for your children before I began speaking. Did anyone say that you wanted your children to go to jail? Take them nowhere. No. Did anyone say you wanted your young people to have children out of wedlock before they got married? No. Why not? Why didn't we say that, those things? What happens when your kids are involved in those things? Does it stop what you want for your children? No. We are in an educational crisis, parents. Now, I can stand here and tell you a lie. And I am under the house of God, under His rule, His watch. I am not going to stand here and tell you a lie. I have been working as an educator. This is my 23rd year. I started working when I was 21 years old, straight out of college. This is the not good part of education. The part people don't really like to hear. And that is the part that says we have to do something different in order to get the result that you say that you want. Remember, I asked you the question. What do you want for your children? Right now, we are in an educational crisis. Turn to the person beside you, an adult. Where is your family member in terms of reading and writing and math right now in this county? Turn to someone and tell them, do you know? Do you need to go to the school and check? Turn to that person, 30 seconds, please.
Somebody's scrub. Oh, yeah.
I don't want you to leave with any misconceptions. I love our children. And I have been charged with the opportunity to help with reform. But I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to appoint 50 people to this board. But guess what cannot happen? Even if it's 50 people who want the best. Nothing can happen without whose support? Who is at the top of the organizational chart of any school district in South Carolina? Who's at the very top? Say it again? So when you don't come to school board members, who's running the school system? Turn to the person beside you and talk about who's running the school system if the persons who are at the top of the chart are not at the meeting. Turn and talk. No, I'm really serious. serious. I want you to turn to the person beside you and have that conversation.
Can't tell them parents nothing, boy. I'ma say it.
Okay, I'm going to come back to the fold. I'm going to remind you. Parents are at the top of the chart. It doesn't matter how much I sit there and look pretty.
True.
Nothing happens without you and your voices. Because you know what happens when people are either elected or appointed and there is no accountability to them?
They keep doing the same
I'm
thing.
going to do exactly what I can sit there and believe me, there you do know and understand people don't get paid a lot of money. But do you know what they gain? Y'all know what people do when they're someplace or they're elected or whatever for a long time? Guess what they gain? They gain power. So if you can leave me there and I can become part of the status quo and sit there and look pretty. Or you can show up and tell me what you want. If you never show up, what if I just sit there and be like everybody else? And do the exact same thing you did not expect me to do. You can't then blame Ms. Rush, can you? Parents, we're in a crisis. And I love you and I love your children. Your children know me. I've been in their school since kindergarten. And unless they're in kindergarten, I promise you they know me. So I am telling you, do not allow that to happen. And why are we not allowing that to happen? We're not allowing it to happen because of this. Because of what I'm about to show you. The percentage of students from our 2006 graduating class. Our district has 50.7% attending either a 2-year college or a 4-year college. And guys, what I'm going to tell you, probably a third of those kids came right back home after Christmas.
Right.
Of this year. I'm not talking about 10 years. I'm talking about this school year. They went and what did they do?
Come back home.
They came right back because they were not prepared. The state's level is 70.8. We are 20 points below the state in the number of kids we even put into a 2- or 4-year situation. Parents, we must change something about what we're doing. Parents, this is the most disconcerting number to me. How many of you said you wanted your kids to go to college again? I want those hands up. Because I need you to see what's going to make that not possible. Because let me tell you something, the HBCUs are going to take them. The historically black colleges and universities are going to take every last one that apply if they walk across the stage. Does that mean they're ready?
Nope.
And let me show you what I mean by this. The state says a kid must have an 18 to just be barely ready to go to college on the ACT. What is that score again?
18.
18 in English. Only 16.1% of our students got that. I'm talking about the whole district now. 11th grade. All 11th graders that took the test last year, only 16.1% met the bare minimum score that says you can barely read to go to college. Did you know that? No. You didn't go to the board meeting, did you? No. You didn't ask, did you?
No.
See, I am not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to tell you the truth. I am not put here for any other reason. Let's look at the second number, please. In mathematics, what is the state score? A 22. 2.8% of our kids met that. You know how many kids that is? Out of 300 kids that took the test, that's probably 3. That first number? That's maybe 6. I'm talking about 300 juniors from across the entire what? County. But maybe more than 300, maybe about 320. Look at reading. She talked to us about reading, and parents, I really wish you were soaking it in because I was a literacy specialist, reading specialist for a mighty long time. What is the state score? 22. 4.2% of our babies in 11th grade in this district met that. That's about 3 kids. But, and I'm going to get to something else, and I don't want y'all to run me out of your church when I ask the question after this. In science, what's the score? 3.1%. How many kids met the benchmark in everyone? 0.3. 3/10. 1 child.
A whole child.
One whole child.
You can't stand that.
Parents, those who are in education, or those who are coming to meetings, know I've been offering free SAT, ACT practice since I have been an educator. Not the 8 years at the district, since I started at C.E. Murray where we kept the high scores simply because of teachers who just stayed free and did it. People don't pay us for that. That's beyond the job. That extra practice. Parents, something has to be done different. Remember I said educational crisis? Do we now know why I call it a crisis? Parents, I don't want you to raise your hands, but I want you to think about what I'm about to ask you. And I'm very serious about this, because this is going to be the only way we're going to change the mindset. Parents, I want you to close your eyes when I ask this question, because I know it's going to be painful when I ask it. So parents, grandparents, family members, just close your eyes and ask this question and think about it. How many of you know kids who came home with either the A or B honor roll that are either in your church or in your house, but you really don't know what their scores are? I just want you to think about that. They came home with an A+ honor roll, and you have no idea what their scores were. I want it to sort of sink in, because I'm going to take you back to those 320 11th graders that took the test. If we have 60 of these people who we say are A+ students, and only one met that score,
It's only one moving forward.
what do you think? What do you think? That means only one kid is going on full merit. What I mean by that is one kid is going to college out of that class if they're going to go to college at that moment, where the school did not have to put them where? In what classes? Remedial classes. Your child takes one whole year of remedial classes that you're paying for that do not count towards a degree. Remember what I just said. Whose children are these?
Ours.
Ours. And you don't come to school board meetings, who are you giving your power to? Ms. Rush is going to try to keep enough God in herself to not want to do anything wrong. Everybody may not have that mindset.
Got that right.
But you giving me your power so you can't grumble.
Got that right.
I'm not being funny. If you give me all your power,
That's right.
who's at the top of the chart again?
Parents.
When parents don't show up, who's at the top of the chart again?
Not the parents.
You took your power away from yourself, guys.
Get with it,
Well, do
Papa.
that. Guys, she told you, encourage your children to read. This year will be the first year that third graders must pass the test or they will be retained. We know the state is going to have to do a bit of modifications, but what I'm going to tell you is last year, only 30% of our third graders passed. What did I say? Of all the third graders tested in this district, only 30% passed. So if that were this year, how many of our kids were supposed to have been retained? 70%. Last year didn't count, this year counts. If you have a family member, know someone who have a third grade kid and they do not pass, then the state comes in and says, well, we will do a format. Now they're saying, they failed, but how low did they fail? Guys, I'll tell you what our numbers from last year. 70% failed, right? Of that 70%, 90% failed at the lowest levels of failing. So even a lot of our kids will not, they won't have a leeway if we keep this up. Like they may come in and say, even if you have 70% that fail, the top 50% of that 70% that fail can go on because they met a certain benchmark. Guys, from looking at the scores, we did not even meet the middle low, we were at the low. It's what I'm telling you, something has to change. You are giving people your power. Talk with your children. Guys, I've walked through Williamsburg County Schools for 8 years, all of them. Parents, we may not like to admit sometimes. The first part of your children learning, mine is having great teachers, and I'll get to that, is your child has to listen. Now, I've told you, I've been to every school constantly for 8 years. Your children have to do what first?
Listen.
I need you to pop up at school and see whether your babies are listening. Because I'm telling you, some of them know me. I will walk straight and say, why aren't you listening? Sit down, I'll be your mama today. But parents, what I'm telling you, you have 25 kids and none of them are listening. What do you think this teacher who is not from Williamsburg County is going to do?
Absolutely nothing.
Because you know, when you're homegrown, you have a little more of a vested interest. But if I'm from Timbuktu, Honduras, Jamaica, or even in another county, from another county, do I have the vested interest?
Not a one.
So when all 25 decides I'm not listening,
I ain't doing
then
that.
what do you think is going to happen?
No.
So parents, I am going to put it squarely on you because I'm a parent myself. We must make our children listen. Young man, stand up. No, this one right here, Big Jack. Have you ever been in a situation, baby, where you see kids don't listen?
Every day.
How does it make you feel? How much learning goes on when that's happening? Hard to say that in front of grown people in this setting, isn't it? Because let me tell you something, teenagers don't tell y'all. Elementary schools don't tell you. But look at me. Happens a lot, doesn't it? More than you would like to admit to anybody in here, right? Kids say things you don't want to admit in here either, right? And you might go in your quiet place in your brain and you pray for them, but does that make the situation better?
Nope.
Prayer without works is dead.
Amen.
This young man can pray, I can pray, I pray every day when I walk up on him.
That's right.
But guess what? Who's at the top of the chart?
Parents.
If you give your power to anybody other than you, and you are the ones who had these babies, and you can forget it. I am telling you, there are people who don't care that that is the issue.
That's right.
I'm not saying who. What I'm telling you is this is the case, something different must happen. And if we march to be able to vote, women, we march to be considered human in this country. Black men, all of us, we have marched to just be considered people. So we're not going to be up someplace demanding that Ms. Rush does her job. So if we're going to give our children's education away to something else, then why am I standing here? That is my point. I'm really serious. And I know I'm hot inside. I'm hot inside because I have a burning passion. You know, when you sit and see something so long, the only thing you can do is shout. You have to almost go another place because it's not right. Again, how many of you want your children to be successful? Amen. How many of you know that, baby, you said this morning, does everyone want to see your success? Remember he said that, right? Do we understand that when we leave these doors of a church that's real? That's right. That's right. So, I hope you want your children to be successful, and it is more than praying it. God didn't say you to sit there and pray. You got to get up there and walk. You got to get up there and do something, because there are some people who literally mind doing well. That's right.
Got that right. Go later for the rest.
And let me tell you why I said that. You see that one kid I was telling you about? Guess whose kid that is? It's mine. So because it's mine, do I have to be here to tell you the truth?
Nope. No.
I could be at my house and say what?
I got mine.
I got it. That's right. Now I'm a woman that does the SAT practice every day. And I'm begging them. And has anybody in here seen a kid or a parent pay me $1? They may bring food to give the kids, and I'm happy about that. But I'm not this struggling. I'm an educator myself. But guys, we have to do something different, and every community has to do it. I'm not just talking about yours. It has to be a change in every community. Because I can't blame those people who are sitting on that podium with me. And I am not playing with you either. I don't blame those people. We can blame them. We gave our power to anybody that's sitting there, including myself. So the 5th month came last Monday, and when I looked out in the crowd and didn't see parents, I was hot. I said, now you know what? How can we change this? Parents, it's not going to be easy to sit here and lie to you, no. But I can tell you, if your kids are reading at the house every day, with structured reading time, if you pop up at the school and make sure they're at least doing what the principal and the teachers tell them to do, that teacher can teach better than 25 acting up. Or I'm going to tell you the truth, if you have 4 acting up out of 25, the class is done. Am I right, sweetheart?
You're right.
Because you don't build teachers like Ms. Rush anymore. I'm going to walk in the room now, and I don't work for the district anymore, I'm in Ori. I walked in the school the other day. Kids out of order. I walked in the classroom, they all shut up. The teacher's back to me. I felt sorry for her. Her back was to me. She didn't even understand why the kids shut up. She didn't see me standing there. And the kids are looking at me, mouth wide open, quiet. It shouldn't be that I can walk in and they shut up. And they're not respectful to that lady that stands before them.
That's right. Right.
Amen. And I am telling you, we are doing our kids a disservice by allowing it.
Yeah.
Talk to your children.
That's right.
I don't care if they're from Jamaica, Honduras, Mexico. If that's who's sitting in front of them at that time, they have to be respectful. If you can't, if there's a language barrier, tell a grown person. Don't sit there and make fun of the grown people. Don't bully the teachers. Guys, I'm telling you that's what's happening. They're bullying them. They can't understand the teachers and they're bullying the teachers. So who's going to win? 25 or 1? The 25 are going to win.
Yeah.
And everybody loses. Because that lady's going to get her check the 15th and the 30th.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Take away TV, make them read.
That's right.
Take, oh, no, not TV.
Phone.
Social media.
Yeah.
Make them read.
Yeah.
Guys, our scores are too low to not do something different. I am begging the men. Women, I love us. I'm a woman. But golly, I do understand I was raised by a granddaddy who was a strong man. Come on. And when my grandma talked, I listened. When my granddaddy talked, I ran. That's the difference.
That's right.
If there is no father in the home, granddaddy, you better step in the home. Amen. Uncle, somebody. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a woman raising 2 children. I had a son. My son is a 6'2" football player. I got everybody to help me. And I can tell you right now, the boy graduated. I mean, he could have gone wherever he wanted to, let me say that. Smart didn't matter. I can be smart as the Dickens, but if I have no control of myself, I'm done.
That's right.
So I got every coach, everybody, JROTC, wherever I could find them. Because it don't matter if I was worth being smart, my smart could have sent them to prison. True. So I got everybody else to help them. And if I figured you didn't like him, I went to the next person. Because guess what? He's still mine. I have to deal with him regardless. Parents have to take that attitude.
Thank you, Lord.
Because I'm going to tell you, no one's going to love yours more than you love.
That's right.
People will sit right here and allow those scores to stay there. And give your child AB honor roll. Give them A+ honor roll. And call it right. Then they march across, go to Benedict. Be right back with you at Christmas.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Try to go to Williamsburg Technical College, can't get there because you have to pass the test to go there too.
That's right.
Because I couldn't pass the acting plans and they put me in all remedial courses even at Tech. My parents don't realize that because I didn't tell them. Or, Ms. Bishop, as we know, I'm let you take 4 classes there, not reading and math, right? Because you didn't pass the acting place. See, they're going to let your children take some courses. Then they're going to take their Pell Grant money and all of that, and then they're stuck. Then they're dropping out for Tech. You can't even get a trade unless you pass the test. You cannot become a welder, not through Williamsburg Tech, and not pass the test. Now, I won't say people have found other methods to get around it. I won't say that is not happening. But for our children, it rarely does. Take a hold of the children. They deserve better than where it is. I am telling you, too many of our kids are dropping out. You know, just a few years ago, it would not have been heard of. Now I'm going to talk about where I work. It wouldn't have been heard of for kids from C. Murray to be coming back at Christmas. Because the graduation rate from college is pretty much 90%. Which is a big $10,000 check for that one year. But I can tell you right now, C.E. Murray's graduation rate has dropped enough from college. Everybody's been good about 90% from high school. Now we see Murray's even at the point where it's from 90 to 60. So if the place I worked at for years and left 8 years ago, and I saw it decline from 90 to 60 graduating, not in 4 years, I'm talking about 5. They give them a whole 5-year span of time. Guys, I know we have some issues. We have to face them head on. We must be proactive. Visit the schools. Discipline matters. That is my main point. Discipline matters, parents. Beyond anything else, a teacher cannot teach if the teacher cannot teach. And that's why I am glad that God, what baby was speaking, I was like, you know what, Angela? The truth has to be told. It is what it is. Establish community forums like you've done right now. You need to talk with each other and come up with a plan. How are we going to help our babies at Hemingway Elementary, Hemingway Middle, and Hemingway High? And in helping the babies of this church, you've helped babies from other little communities too. Because when people start seeing you going, guess what they're going to do? They're going to get jealous. Jealousy can be a big thing in some circumstances.
You're right.
Then they want to start coming. Make that jealousy so great that everybody's jealous of them and start going. PTA meetings have dropped off to almost nothing. Get your child's scores, please, if you don't have them. See where they really are, math scores and state scores. Math, from the first time they take it, they're supposed to go up the second time. Then they're supposed to go up again the third time. Get your child's scores. Going up does not mean your child is doing exceptionally well. Going up just means they're moving from one place to the other. Let me make it clear. My child can be at a 200, which is failing. My child go to a 210, it's still failing. But there's some growth. Go to a 220, still failing. But it's growth. So don't get the okie doke now. Oh, your child's doing well. Go for 200 to 220 and still failing. No. Don't tell me the word well. Say the child still needs some help. See, because we get it. You'll get all the child went up. Then they get the state scores and it's still not met. Again, how many of you want your children to do well in school? Well in life? We have to do something other than talk about it. Community tutoring. Get people within your community. They may not work in Williamsburg. They can work in another county. Beg them to come to your church. You have a beautiful facility here and have them tutor your children. Go do with what you have. I offer in trial free for anybody that can step in there. Right now, most of the kids that come to my sessions are from Andrews High School. Outside of Williamsburg. And that's a shame, because I turned no one around. The parents came, some of them came to a session I hosted in Lori, where the parents paid $250 an hour. Did y'all hear me? Each kid pays $250 an hour. And some of those parents, managers are there, and I got up and said I do this free in Williamsburg, so guess where their kids work? Why would you pay $250 for the same thing? I'm just telling you. If you're going to let your child talk you out of it, mine, I don't feel like it, I'm tired. Tired of my foot.
They tell you to be in that phone.
The standards will not go away. I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't think Molly's going to throw them out the window. We just wrote them 2.5 years ago. I was on the standards writing team for English, language arts. It was 19 of us. We had a charge with the task. Just be happy Angela and another lady were in the room because they could have been worse. We at least have A, B, C, D under the big one. Because before we walked in that room, they were just going to get the broad standard, which would have been worse for our children. But to have those steps under each standard at least gives them skills they're supposed to have before they got to the big standards. Parents, the standards aren't going to go. We have to do what we have to do to get our kids where they're performing better than where they are now. Be diligent, get involved, help a struggling parent. He said it this morning. What good is it if I'm in here if I can't help somebody? You see a young girl with 3 children, nobody else to help her, and you just let her fall? Help somebody else. I know when I was coming up, somebody helped me.
That's right.
And if they didn't help me, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
That's right.
We have to get out of that, this mine, I got mine attitude. When you don't have yours, you can take yours.
That's right.
Please help the struggling mothers, because that we've seen that's where a lot of the problems are coming from. They're struggling. Help them. We are in a crisis. Parent involvement, community engagement will stop. Parents, I probably got a little bit more passionate than I initially thought I was going to get passionate, but I thank you for your time and thank you.